What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another one. Today's video is how would I start a business with $100? Especially if you're talking about candle making. How would I start a candle making business with $100 today? This is definitely possible, and we're gonna talk about it right here. My name is Amar, man. This As I Am Candle Co. CEO founder. You know what I'm saying? All that. I've been making candles now for about 5, 6 years, and right now I'm making content. From the candle making perspective, things that I do, candle chats. You know what I'm saying? Candle making tutorials, different things like that. But I also try to give out like game and things like that I've learned over the years that might help people in entrepreneurship, whether it's candle making or not, from a small business perspective. So without further ado, let's get into it. What would I do if I wanted to start a business right now, a candle making business right now with $100 a day? I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it because this is what I did when I first started. So the first thing you would do is you would get a candle making kit, right? So a candle making kit, it depends on, I would say, the quality of kit that you're trying to look for. For me, I started really, really basic. I went to Hobby Lobby. I don't know if I use soy or beeswax. I can't fully remember, but it wasn't the wax that I use now. I found the wax that I use later on, and that comes through testing and stuff like that. But this is if you want to just get started. Most people, the most common wax is soy. I would say so. You can get a soy making candle kit. Two things that you got to look for in soy when you're making the candle is you have to look for what not wet spots, sinkholes. You gotta look for sinkholes and you gotta look for wet spots. So when you're looking for vessels, get vessels who are. So what I did first is I had like clear vessels. I wouldn't do clear vessels because you get wet spots on the outside of it. Like the condensation. You get that. And you can get sinkholes or dips on the inside. So this is what I would do. I would get a candle making kit first. You could do Hobby Lobby. That's what we have here in Florida. You could do Michael's Crafts. They got kits too. I think I did Michael's as well. Either one of those places you can do, like the places that I order candle stuff from, Makesy's, Candle Sign, stuff like that. These places should also have candle kits as well. Those candle kits could be anywhere between like 20 and I'd say $50. You know what I mean? So I would do those. Those probably only make anywhere between, I would say they'll probably give you 16 ounces, so that's a pound. So I would start with, let's say, if it's 16 ounces, that's a pound of wax that you'll get. And they'll probably give you a scent and some wicks and stuff like that. So I would do small vessels. I wouldn't do anything over 8 ounces. And the reason why I say 8 ounces is because that allows you to get enough, not even 8 ounces. I go even smaller than that, maybe like 5 ounces, because 8 ounces will give you two. So unless you're gonna buy two kits, you know what I mean? What you can buy two kits, and that'll give you four. But I would start with those, you know what I'm saying? Those kits, buy as many kits as you want. Usually I'll probably make about 2 candles per kit because you'll probably have like a pound of wax, either a pound or 2 pounds of wax in each candle making kit. So first I would get the kit, right? Get the supplies that's in the kit. So usually it's like scent, usually it's wax, and I would say wicks, right? Then once you get that, get some glue dots. You don't have to get anything expensive. They have these at Michael's. Michael's probably like $5, $10 or whatever. So now let's say you're out of like $50, right? But you have your wicks, you have your scent, you have your wax, you have the other thing is you need to get some vessels. So I got jars from Target and I got jars from Dollar Tree. So if I go to Dollar Tree, you can get glass, like glass cups, but depending on the heat, it might not work. But I would just get some vessels from Dollar Tree. If not, I did this at Target. When you walk into Target, Target has this section when you first walk in that's like everything like $5 and under or something like that. That is where I got some jars from, and I use those. So you could use glass, you could use ceramic, you could use hard plastic, whatever it is. It just got to kind of be heat resistant. And to me, most things are heat resistant if they're thick enough. Um, so then the jars vessels shouldn't cost you more than probably like $10 if you get like, if you $1.25 at Dollar Tree, if you get a couple of them at Target, it's probably gonna run you like $10 or something like that, right? So now let's say you're out of $60 at that point in time. So then I would get what we call, it would be you got your kit, and your kit, like I said, has the wax in there, it has the wicks in there, it has the scent in there. If not, you might have to buy the scent separate. Hobby Lobby, Michaels, they also have scent. You can grab like a little one like this. You can grab that. That's only gonna cost you probably like $3 or $4. So now let's say you probably at like $65 or something like that, right? So you do that. You got the vessels, like I said, from Dollar Tree or Target or Michael's and Hobby Lobby. They also have vessels there as well. You just get a couple of those. Those should only cost you a few bucks per as well, maybe $3, $4, $5 a piece, depending on where you're at. So you do those, and then you get what we call a double boiler method. So if you guys want, drop it in the comment. I can make a separate video going through step by step. I'm actually out running errands, so I was like, let me make a video real quick about it. But if you want me to go more in depth, I can go more in depth. Because I know some people are more of a visual than they are a just audio learning. Some people actually have to see what's going on. I'm one of those people. And so I really wanted to do this, like sitting down and kind of go step by step. So I still might make that video. So if you want to see that kind of video, drop it in the comments. But for the people who are audio based, this is for you. You got the candle making kit. The candle making kit should have your wax, and it should have like wicks and scent and stuff like that. If it don't have scent, you can get everything at Hobby Lobby, at Michael's, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I just said the other places like Target and Dollar Tree because it depends on how much you really want to spend and how much you want to make. If you're just testing it and you don't mind, spending it and get it all in one place. But if you're going based on price, then the cheaper stuff obviously is going to be at Dollar Tree. You get the main stuff that you need at Hobby Lobby, at Michael's. That's the kit. That's the scent. That's the wicks that come with the kit and the vessels. You know what I mean? Vessels, like I said, I start out with actual glass. Like, it's crazy. I actually start out with actual glass, and that's how I made my first candles with actual glass. I might drop a picture in here. I think I might have a picture here. And yeah, I'll drop a picture in here of it so you guys can see that this is how I actually started. And I actually sold those to people. And people bought them because they loved me. Not because they were any good, but because they actually loved me. So, kits, vessels, jars. Double boiler method. So all the double boiler method is you get a pot. You use a regular pot that you have at home. You put the water in there. You know what I'm saying? Like you finna make spaghetti or something and boil water. And then all you do is you know how you would have a mixing bowl? Like you would have like a whisk and a mixing bowl. You have a mixing bowl. Don't do a plastic mixing bowl. Do like not titanium. I don't know, steel, titanium. I don't know what it's called, but like the silver ones. Use those. You put it on top of the pot. The pot's boiling. You put it on top of the pot and you just throw the wax on there, and that is going to melt your wax. That is what they call a double boiler method. This is what I did for probably the first 30, 40 candles that I ever made. Was I used a double, maybe more than that, was I used the double boiler method. But see, the thing about the double boiler method is you can only use it for so much. You can only use it for probably like 2 or 3 pounds of wax. You know what I mean? Sorry. You can only use it for like 2 or 3 pounds of wax. It's depending on how big the bowl is and how big the pot is. So that's why eventually you have to get a warmer. But to start out, double boiler method. I use the pot that I already had at the house, and I use a mixing bowl. Now, once you use this mixing bowl, you're not gonna put no more food in here because this has wax and stuff in it. So, but you can use that. I still have my double boiler, whatever pot. I still have it at the house. Get a pot, put on the stove, boil the water, then put a bowl on top of that, like a steel titanium bowl, and then put the wax in there, and then you'll watch the wax just melt. You know what I mean? And that is how you'll make your first candles. After that, then what you're doing is, you got all your supplies at that point in time. You got your wicks, you got your jars, you got your glue dots, which you can get at Hobby Lobby. Those are like $10, and it comes with like 100 of them or something like that. Get the glue dots. Like I said, you got the wicks, you got the vessels, and you got your scent. So once you melt down your wax, right, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna measure out your scent. So your scent is based on how many pounds of wax that you have. So you could do 8 to 12%. So for simple numbers, let's say we got a pound of wax and we do 10%. So that's going to be 0.10%. If it's a pound of wax and is, well, not pound of wax. If it's, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm wrong. 16 ounces is a pound. If you got 16 ounces times 0.10 or 0.10, it's going to be 1.6. So that's how much sit that you need, right? So obviously, if you have 32, you'll do that times whatever that is, 3 point, you know what I'm saying? And you will add it up. If it's 32, 3.2 is 32 times 0.10 is 3.2 because that's 10% fragrance loads, 10% fragrance ounce. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you just measure it by the percentage, and that's how much scent you need. So for 1 pound, 16 ounces, it'll be 1.6 ounces of scent, right? Because you're doing 10% or 0.10. And then once you do that, that is what you measure out for the scent, and then you pour it in there, and then you just stir it in there. 3 to 5 minutes. This is my mixing noise. Stir it in there for 3 to 5 minutes. Once it gets in there good, you can turn the pot off. It's done boiling. And actually, you want to turn it down before you put the scent in there because you don't want to burn the scent out. You turn it down. You let it kind of cool down a little bit before it solidifies. Just until it starts boiling. It's not really, really hot because you don't want it to, be too hot for the vessel. And then you pour it in your vessel. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it. Like once you have your wicks, so you stick your wicks inside your glasses or whatever. I know we used to do, if it's the string wicks, we used to get like a pencil and we would roll the ends of the string wick. Once we obviously put the wax with the scent in the vessel and the wick is already in there, we'll roll it with a pencil so that way it can kind of solidify in the middle. And then that's how you get your first candles. Now, sinkholes. That happens a lot in soy wax because you have to test it. And it's like a pouring thing. That's why I don't use soy wax. But with sinkholes, all you can do sometimes is you just reheat. So if you have like a heat gun or if you have a blow dryer, if a blow dryer should be hot enough, you have to probably turn all the way up. But you're just reheating the tops so that way it kind of can blend a little better. My first candles, I had sinkholes on them. People supported me because they supported me. And like I said, that first setup, this was 2020, I think, end of 2020, end of 2021. So people supported me just because, you know what I'm saying, they love me. But at the time, I think I bought that kit, it might have been like $40 for everything, $50 for everything. I didn't even use the whole 100. And that's how I first started selling candles. That's how I started my candle making business. I sold it to friends, I sold it to colleagues, and people bought them. They bought them, and probably not because they was good, but because they actually want to support me. You know what I mean? So if I was starting a candle business today for $100 or less, that is how I would do it. Straight like that. Everything I say, get dark color vessels because that'll keep you from having wet spots so you can't visibly see them. And then you just reheat them to make them look nice. You put a ribbon on them, a bowl or something to make them look good. And you start there. That is how you start. That is how you begin. So hopefully this is helpful. To the next time. If you want a full making tutorial, if you made it to the end of the video, drop a thumbs up for me and a comment. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? All that. And yeah, if you want an actual tutorial, I can do that. Just drop it so I know. All right. Peace.